Hello and welcome to another On the Bucket with Rob Allen. Got a great guest today, somebody I've known for a really long time, near and dear to my heart, and for the first official time ever, now introducing Chuck Chittick, Vice President of Distribution at Stromquist. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, yeah, pretty cool. Vice President as of 2 or 3 days now. That's great.
Yeah, it's been quite the slightly humbling. In fact, I was just like, oh my god, when you get
Well,
the title, people start looking at you, slightly different, or at least you feel
yeah,
that way. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's you're probably right a little bit, but at the end of the day, man, well earned and well deserved. There's not a person that knows you that doesn't think that you bring a ton to the table, and man, you're often the easy button. If you don't know, ask Chuck, right? So just keep doing what you're doing, baby, and everything will go great, man. So the premise of the show, just to basically get a background about you, how you grew up. Eventually, we'll get into how you got into the industry, and then we'll talk a little bit about the industry, maybe Stromquist, that type of stuff. But I just thought it was neat to be able to give people in the industry a little bit of a background of where we came from, how we got here. So, what was life like growing up? Where did you grow up? You can go into to siblings and parents or whatever, and I'll guide the conversation from there.
Sure. So I was born in Columbus, Ohio, and lived in a little town called Pickerington until right before junior high. My dad's job, you get transferred up to Mansfield, Ohio. So I went to a school, Shelby, Ohio, and that's where I graduated from. Very small town, less than 10,000 people in the town. Very fun place to grow up. Interesting fact about hometown was our mascot was the Whippet, which is
Mm,
like a miniature greyhound dog.
I think I did some whippets, and never mind. Yeah, cool. It's an interesting mascot. That's great.
Yeah.
So we got some friends up in Columbus, Ohio, Columbus Temperature Control,
hmm
Peter Walsh and Jamie Dennis. I wonder if they've heard of Pickerington. Is that what you said?
Pickerington, yes.
Pickerington.
Yes, it's just
Yeah,
east of
cool.
Columbus.
Okay, very cool. Siblings? Any siblings?
Yeah, I have two brothers and a sister, all younger.
You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest of
You're the
five.
OG.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I'm actually a junior. So
Okay.
there was another Chuck Chittick, very recent until he passed away a few years ago. But so I'm junior. In fact, I come from a long line of Charles or Carls, going way back, all the way back to when the first guy came over.
Nice.
There's probably at least
Nice.
five that I can see in my past.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, you're Charles Chittick
Yep.
officially, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. And you were a four-time state champion quarterback, correct? You were All-American.
No, nothing like that.
No. What were your hobbies? What'd you do to have some fun when you were in high school?
So, band, marching band, concert band, all that stuff. So, oddly enough, I played two instruments in high school: flute and tuba.
Dang,
And
dang.
if you had to guess which one took more air, you would be wrong because it's the flute.
Really?
Yeah, it
Little
takes a
flute.
lot more lungs to play the flute than it does the tuba. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into it, but that was me teasing you because you are very musically inclined and impressed me often with all that. But I want to save that for a little bit later.
Okay.
So, what your dad do? You said your dad transferred at some point. What kind of work was he in?
Yeah. So my dad worked in mainframe support for IBM. So
Okay.
I grew up, when we were still in Columbus when I was really young. I remember, nights, he'd have to do some overtime and run over to Ohio State and go reboot their mainframe, which at the time took several floors in one of their buildings.
Cease.
And when you reboot a mainframe, it's a little different than rebooting your PC, right? Because he had three-phase power, you got to turn off and back on, and all kinds of stuff.
Wow,
But it usually took him about a half an hour to do it, but it was always
that's
interesting.
incredible. And I bet you the memory and power were about close to what you have in front of you there on that we're doing this session on.
Yeah, it's amazing, but even like in the late '90s when he was doing mainframe support, they had machines that were still able to do some things that you still can't even do on a PC today in terms of
Wow,
bandwidth. I mean, he was dealing with 128 operating systems and 32 consecutive hot swappable CPUs and stuff like that. So, I mean, really, really massive, like stuff for airlines and things like that, where you have to do just lots and lots of transactions. But Not a lot of GUI or any of that user friendly stuff. It's
Oh,
speed.
so is that giving us a little hint into how you're so good with computers and stuff? Did you get exposed to that early on? Is that kind of like a Malcolm Gladwell thing?
Yeah, very early on. So my dad being an employee of IBM, we got one of the first shipments of the IBM PC. And so I got basic with that, typed in a few programs from a magazine at the time to do little things and stuff like that. So
Wow.
it was a different time.
Yeah. If you know Chuck, you know he's just incredible with systems. But I mean, Excel, all the things. I mean, whatever it is, it's Chuck can figure it out. But then past that, he's incredible knowledge of our industry. And then past that, he's just a really cool, great guy. Always smiling, always happy, always willing to help. I mean, it's just truly, Chuck's the easy button. So love that about you. What was your first job, or what was your favorite job in high school, or did you have a paper route?
So my first job was actually after I graduated high school. Believe it or not, it was McDonald's.
Nice, nice. So you're one of the billion served. Huh?
One of the
How many
billion
of the
served. Yeah.
nice?
So, interesting fact. So, when I graduated high school, that's the year my dad got transferred to Georgia, and that was in 1986.
Okay.
And so, I graduated high school, came down, and I worked at the McDonald's at Bells Ferry in '92 in
Wow,
Woodstock
wow,
for
wow.
that summer, and then I went back up to Ohio for college at Kent State.
Any cool takeaways, or was it just a part-time, job? I mean, what was
It
anything
was
cool about
it was interesting. I think everybody should work fast food at least once in their life just to realize how good they got it when they go somewhere else.
it? Mm,
Uh, it was a fun job. I learned a couple things that I still recite to this day. Somebody there used to always say, "If there's time to lean, there's time to clean."
mm,
So
yeah.
I still repeat that occasionally. If there's time to lean, there's time to clean.
Yeah, that's good. And you're so lucky to be able to get those early, right? I worked at Home Depot in high school. I was 17 and I worked at Home Depot, and that was the height when I was there was the height of Arthur and Bernie. It was customer service was key. And I tell the story often of the general manager of the store I worked at. He had $100 bill in a clear pouch, and if you ever saw him not talking to a customer, greeting a customer, waving something, you could go ask him for his $100 bill. Legend has it he kept the $100 bill, the same one. He never gave it away. I mean, it was neat, customer service. It's so cool to learn those things early. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So, I wouldn't say that was my favorite job, but that was definitely a learning experience. One thing about them is they've always had really good onboarding. So the first day you go there, you literally sit in the break room, and they just played at the time VHS videos, right? So they just stick them
Mm,
in one at a time. You had to watch them all before you're allowed to even get out on the floor. So
wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Just creates that consistency, right? You get away from worker training worker. It's, just because I mean it's pretty straightforward, but I'm sure there were some dangerous things and there's some consistency things that you needed to
yeah.
ensure quality and scalability and all that. It was pretty cool. Now, my one of my favorite questions I always ask everybody. This, it's kind of neat. What was your first car?
1970 Accord.
Ooh, nice. Now, you do any kind of like modifications, or is it just like
Well,
get you to school and back?
so it did a couple little things, obviously me just loving music, put a nice stereo in it. It wasn't one of those thumping systems like my brother would later do in his cars, but it was pretty nice. I really enjoyed that car. It was a 5-speed manual. And interesting thing is, when I did go to college, I drove that car filled with everything I was taking to college. I drove myself up to Kent State from
Nice,
Georgia, in one
nice.
day. So I was like just cruising,
That's cool.
and
That's
it was a
cool.
great car.
So you went to Kent State, and
hmm
do you have any lifelong friends or anybody that you still keep in contact today from Kent State?
Oh, yeah. In fact, one of my friends that I still stay in contact with was actually a friend from high school. He went to Kent State as well. We've been friends ever since. The very first person I even met when I got to campus, he's still one of my best friends too. He lives up he moved to Ocean City a couple years ago. And
And
yeah,
anybody else that you attended Kent State with that you keep in contact with today?
pretty much most of that crew. So I joined Alpha Tau Omega.
Isn't that where you met Nicole? That's what I'm getting
Oh, that's what you're getting at? Yeah. Yes.
at.
I met Nicole. Yeah. So we met in music school there.
Can see behind you there. That's not a recent picture
Yep.
on your desk
Is
behind you.
Actually, one of the few pictures of us before we got married. That was right after we got engaged.
What anniversary did you most recently celebrate?
So it's going to be 37 in about a week and a half.
That's I'm not even 37 years old. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's really cool. Congratulations on that. That's really great, man.
Thanks.
That's excellent. So and fun fact, you guys were in a band together, right?
Yes.
What what instrument or what did she do in the band and what did you do in the band?
So she's vocals, and I played pretty much most of the instruments. One of my other friends from college, I played guitar on a few tracks and things like that. But yeah,
Yeah. And you recently just got back into, I mean, you never really stopped playing, but you've been doing the guitar a little bit, I think the piano a little bit, or the keyboard piano.
yeah, I've been getting back into it. It's been a lot of fun, uh, especially on the piano. I wasn't expecting to be so much on piano, but I play it at least 15 minutes every night, usually more closer to an hour.
Wow. Yeah. You know, Chuck, well, a lot of times people say, yeah, yeah, I play this and I play that. And then you hear him and you're like, not quite as good as what you thought. Chuck's the opposite. Chuck's like, I mess with it here and there. And then he, shows you a video or something and you're blown away by how good he is. And then the knowledge that you have of the various instruments. Embarrassingly, you showed me the YouTube the other day of the same song on four different levels of guitar. They all sound the same to me, but you knew better, and that's neat. They're the master of your craft.
Thanks.
Yeah, very cool. So you do a little bit of traveling. Do you do any hobbies? Do any like maybe just some casual running?
It's just some casual running. So one thing you'll notice about me is, and people say this, Nicole and I are both this way. We're usually either all in or not at all. So yeah, we joined the gym several years ago, and somebody invited us to do Warrior Dash, and say, oh, we should probably do a 5K. That quickly escalated in to a 3-time Ironman finisher
Yeah,
over the course of I don't know, 10 years or so.
yeah,
And then now we're getting into ballroom dancing and going to have our first competition in a couple weeks. That's a whole different thing. We just
yeah. You
we
guys
get
do.
interested in
You're
stuff, we just do it. Yeah.
yeah. You're all in or all out. I mean, I remember. I think Nicole still or really was for a long time coaching Ironman.
Hmm.
You guys won various awards in your run club. I think you just won a newcomer award for your new dance competition thing,
Yes.
right? Like, best newcomer, however it was. And, it's just people know you, gravitate to both of you guys for all the reasons I've already mentioned. That's just really cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Now, I don't know. Do you do a lot of travel? Is that something that you do a lot of or?
We don't do a lot, but we've had some very memorable trips.
Okay.
Um, I would, you know, we, we've had, there's 2 vacations that we've had that were just pretty much the epitome of, we still think of it as like, oh my God, that was the best time
That
ever.
set the bar, right?
Set the bar, and there's 2 of them.
Okay.
One was 1995. We went to Japan. We were there for a little over a week. The interesting thing is I actually went 3 weeks before for that job that I was working at the time to do a startup on a very large wood-fired thermal oil heater. That was a 3-week startup. I did that, and then I went to Okinawa to start up another heater, and then so I flew in from Okinawa to Nagoya, and Nicole flew from the U.S. to Nagoya, and we met in the airport there, and then we went upon our vacation with no reservations for any hotels or anything. All we had was the week long train pass that you can only buy from the consulate in the U.S. You can't buy it in Japan. So we had
Wow.
that. So we had unlimited free rail for the whole week.
Wow. Had to have been just a pretty darn accomplishment just to be able to meet up because there was no internet, cell phone, text messaging, whatever, right? So I mean, and so you probably didn't have conversation for 24 plus hours during travel,
No,
right?
no. And I honestly, as time went on, you forget about how did you actually accomplish that, right? So, and, it's like, how did we do that before cell phones and all this other stuff where we couldn't like say, hey, I'm over here, da 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 da. Nicole actually found the note I left her with all the instructions of how we were going to meet up. I'd laid it all out before the trip. and said, "You're going to go to this." This is at the time you could go to the counter, and they'll have the tickets waiting for you. You just say,
Wow.
you can do that, and then you can do standby and da 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 da. You just go there, and then if this happens, whatever. And then the key was the realization that anytime you're doing international travel, in every airport, you come out one door. And so I'll just meet you as you come out of customs or out of
Wow. Wow.
because I know when her flight's coming, and my flight was a little bit earlier. So, and if she didn't make the one flight, then I was just going to come back the next day when the other one came, and it'd be about the time. It was like,
Wow.
oh, it was like no cell phone needed. Figure it out.
Yeah, that's just wild. I mean, it's just people that work here and different. It's like, well, how did you do outside sales without a cell phone and with GPS and whatever? And some of the old timers would look at like, well, we had maps, and it was like, what? It's you just have it so easy, and it's like I just can't imagine like having a map to get me to a city and then have a city map to get me to where I want to be, and then on top of that going all the way down there and maybe not even having a meeting, trying to cold call. I just can't imagine that. That's really cool. So that was the first one, Japan. And what
Hmm.
was the second meaningful or memorable trip?
Hawaii.
Oh,
So we
nice.
spent a week and a half in Hawaii.
Nice.
So we did the first night or two. I can't remember exactly how many days. We did the the Waikoloa on the Big Island, the real nice hotel there. Blah blah blah, blah. And then we rented a car. And this was a group of us. There's about 8 of us that went. And we went down through where they do the coffee, the Kona Coffee Company. Actually
Yeah.
went to there, and then we went to the southernmost point of the United States. Then we drove up the mountain and stayed in the lip of the volcano at that hotel that's up there.
Mm,
I stayed there a night, and then walked around inside the volcano and stuff like that. It was really fun. And then after that night, then we flew over to Maui and went to the relaxation part of the thing. We said,
yeah.
okay, we saw all the stuff. Now we're at the beach in Maui and doing all that stuff.
That's a fun way to do it. As you know, we do a lot of travel, and we do adventures and vacations. And so vacations, you're just chilling. Adventures are, 7 a.m. to midnight, trying to see all the things. But when you can do a trip with both, those are really neat.
Yeah,
So I'm set to go to Hawaii for the first time in April. So do you think I'll enjoy it?
absolutely. It'll be
Yeah, I
fun.
bet you it's scenic and
Yeah, if you like going to things and learning things and stuff like that, the Big Island. If you want to chill on the beach, Maui for sure.
okay.
And
Yeah, we'll try to figure out how to do both. That's
they're
so
both
cool.
beautiful.
I'm actually watching Apple TV's got Jason Momoa's doing a thing about Hawaii. I didn't know that he's Hawaiian, and so it's basically like the early 1800s Hawaii and all that. It's pretty fascinating, based on true events and true people. A little
Yeah.
sad, but very eye opening and really cool too. So, all right. So when you were over in Japan, you kind of alluded to you were over there for work. Was
Hmm.
that Stromquist, somebody else? How did you get into our industry?
So, so in the around 1993, I was actually still working at a gas station, and a guy by the name of Charles Summers is a friend of my brother's, and he said, "Hey, we need somebody to work out in the warehouse over at the time it was Geeka was the name of the company." So I said, "Hell yeah, I'll do that." So I started there in the warehouse, packing boxes, cleaning the toilets, doing anything they needed done, and very quickly started helping sell pump parts for the heaters and stuff. They had tons and tons of parts, and then figuring out parts they need for other things, but mostly it was pump parts. And then pulling for these big jobs, and then um, when I showed an aptitude for that, they said, "Hey, we need some help starting up some equipment. You want to learn?" And I said, "Sure." So they took me out to in Champaign, Illinois,
Hmm.
and this is the first time I started having any knowledge of Sam Lindley
Hmm.
because we had 4,000 psi plus steam boilers at that plant, each of them fired by a Maxon Ep7 oven pack.
Oh,
So that was an interesting learning experience on my part. It had high pressure gas, they had their own hydrogen plant there, so that was scary as well. Pretty
Mm,
close to where the boilers were, and it was
mm.
pretty neat. Yeah, the uh, the boilers themselves are about 2 stories tall, and so you had to go up to the top, and then they fire down, so the burner, and it was good stuff. So I watched and learned the whole process on the first one, and then I went by myself on the second one, and then did the other two after that.
Was that really quick to be able to go on your second one by yourself?
Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah,
quick.
I bet. Jeez, even back then, you were from gas station attendant to
Yeah,
fuel starter up guy.
yeah. So, and I got to learn a little bit from Sam at the time about how those burners worked, and it wasn't like I just learned everything I needed to know on that one startup. He was nice enough to he set up the demo burner here, and we came over here, and he showed me some things on it too as well. So it was not like, okay, one shot. Yeah.
If you don't know, Chuck's talking about Sam Lindley, who started at Stromquist in 1965 and just celebrated 60 years. He's still kicking the tires part time, coming in to still be a burner expert. I think he found something from, what was it the other day, like 1977 or something, like a hand
Yeah.
pencil drawn something, and they remember doing the startup. Just wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sam is 81 years old now and does his thing. But he's who recruited you to come to work for Strongquist.
Yes. So I'd been working there for a couple years, and then 1995 happened. I was gone 32 weeks out of 52 weeks
Hmm.
on various job sites. So so he had previously in 1994, sometime late, I don't remember exactly when, he said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming over?" And at the time, I was very happy. And then when I was needed on so many job sites and all that stuff, that's really hard on a marriage. And I called Sam from a hotel room in Canada, said, "Hey, is that offer still open?" And he said, "I'll get right back with you." And I came and interviewed David like the next week. And a couple weeks later, I was here. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lesson for any leader out there just listening. Don't take your people for granted because it sounds like that's maybe the other company had a superstar, and the easy button and just kept pushing them off to go do things. And maybe that was the job. Maybe they couldn't be avoided, but man, lucky for Stromquist, the timing lined up and caught you in that year when and moved over. So
Yeah. No, it was good learning experience going on that many job sites and trying to make things work and working with various flame safeguards, different burners. I worked with Maxon, Gordon Pyatt, North American. I think I even hit an Eclipse burner once. I mean, it's lots of things. I've started up a Mega Fire, which really rare burner to ever buy. And I remember when the UDCs first had issues with firmwares, I had tech support with those guys, and they had to mail me a firmware update.
wow.
There was no downloading firmware updates off the internet at that time, so just stuff
So
like that.
30 years at Stromquist officially, is that right? 30 years.
It'll be 30 in March.
Okay. Okay. 90. So you came out of 96.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Thought it was 95. Oh,
95 was
cool.
the year of the travel that made it happen.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Wow, man, it's just incredible. All right, so you've had a lot of roles here. We not tease, but we say you're the godfather of DDC at Stromquist, right? But
Hmm.
then you came from a industrial combustion background, but then were shown DDC BAS and quickly did that for the long time, and then you've had kind of the same role, but a lot of different roles and a lot of different titles. And 2018, when I started to run the company, I put you over to run distribution, and now you run our entire industrial combustion group. You're the company facing to all those people, and you run all our tool set and have some direct reports. So and now VP. So that's
Yeah.
really cool. So tell us a little bit about just what you like about Stromquist, besides the obvious, besides me. You know, I'm just teasing. But what do you like? I mean, you've been here 30 years. You've seen so many different things. Like, what are some of the challenges? What's the culture like? Just what's your infomercial?
So so it kind of goes without saying between me and you, working for David and Eric is just an absolute joy.
Percent.
I can't think of anybody I'd rather work for than those two.
Percent.
So they've always been there when I needed them, and I try to be there when they need me, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so it's good. But as far as what I really like about the job is, it has always been, if you're interested in something and you want to learn about something, you are giving maximum lead. You're given maximum leadway to go learn that.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, I think it was Bob Coach. He's retired a while back, but he said, if you want to figure out how that thing works, you can just pull one off the shelf and wire it up and play with it. And I'm like, okay. And so I did often. And that's, if you want to learn how to make things work, you got to try to make them work.
Yeah. So the so Stromquist, you're guaranteed opportunity. The
Yes.
outcome in part is up to you, but the opportunity we're always going to give you that. It's kind of what I'm hearing you saying. And that one before me, that's what I experienced when I came here. Was the same exact thing.
Yeah. And yeah. And if you want to go off and do something that's beneficial for the company and just develop it on your own, it's not like, hey, what are you doing over there doing that? It's like as long as you're taking care of stuff, you know.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to give away our secret sauce, but I was thinking about the last 2 weeks. I don't even. It took you 2 weeks, but saved us so much labor hours. It proved accuracy by going through and programming this little thing to do a tedious function for the business. That's really going to be a huge benefit to our customers and us internally. And it's just, yeah, just go make it happen, right? And then it turned out so cool and neat.
Yeah. Um, Lots of fun.
Yeah,
I, I've always enjoyed making things work and making things easy.
yeah. So what's up with our industry? We in the golden age? We in the, oh my gosh, what's happening? What do you think about our industry and where we are?
Varied question. So
Yeah.
if you're looking at it, say industrial combustion, industry wide, they've got an aging problem.
Yep.
Everybody in the industry is my age or older.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of young people, and this across the board, people are trying to figure out how to get young people interested in playing with fire. It's like I like to say
Yeah.
it. Some are more successful than others, but I haven't seen any companies being really successful with younger people in combustion, which is unfortunate because it's really, really, really needed for pretty much all of our manufacturing and industry in general. You got to have heat to make things. So the industry's in for a little bit of turmoil here in the next few years, I think, if you're willing to, put your foot forward and really grab a hold. I think it's a good opportunity
Yeah.
for somebody that
But
spots it.
it was a few years back where the thought was, well, if you want to have a job forever, go learn programming. But now we're seeing that AI can do a lot of the programming. Do you think that um where do you land on making fire being soaked up by some form of AI, or do you think that's a really great place to be if you want to have a job forever?
I think it's a good place to be forever because, AI uses energy and fire makes energy.
Mm, mm, yeah,
So burning something, and fortunately, the amount of heat required for industrial processes is way greater than anything you could do electric wise in terms of our grid. I mean, just just a if you do just a smaller 1.5 million BTU per hour burner, and you try to do that electric, it gets very expensive very fast. And that's not to say people aren't trying, but it's always going to be a good place to be, even if they move it up the supply chain a little bit. You still have to burn something, or shoot a proton at a neutron in a nuclear thing, or sunlight or whatever. You got to make big energy.
yeah. Yeah. You think that is the perception you think that maybe doesn't attract people to our industry is I don't know if people view it a lot like a trade where you're going to be dirty, you're going to be, mechanic like I know that a lot of people love those jobs, but a lot of people don't. Typically, I feel like we were told for so long, you got to go to college, and now I don't know if that's always the best. We're at least getting to the part where you go in the trade, whatever. But if it is the perception of people that don't want to get dirty, don't want to have their name on the front of their shirt. I mean, how many times in the last 5 years have you gotten your hands dirty? Can
A
you keep
few.
it on one hand? Yeah, I mean, and so at some point you start to use this up here and start to be more strategic. But talk on that a little bit. I mean, if you were going to try to sell somebody to consider an alternate route to college and to come work for Stromquist or to be a part of our industry, what would your sales pitch be to them? Put you on the spot a little. I'm sorry.
That's fun. That's all right. So combustion, there's no degree in combustion. There's no this is a it's an industry built on, you know, there's some science behind it, and there is a little bit of education that goes with it, but there's just a lot of experience based learning that happens with it. And with it being an industry, it's hard to make that hump to get into there where you're good, right? So if you're
Okay.
willing to go in and learn it and do it and things and become good, you're going to be in demand everywhere.
Yeah.
I know there was some company up in Chattanooga. They're all retired now, but they used to work for one of the OEMs up there, and they were just doing their field startups. And they figured correctly that they were really good at startups and working on burners and things like that. So they went and started their own company. I never saw a single ad from them or anything. I will say I was the first person to ever hire them to go
Hmm.
do a startup, but that's a
Wow.
whole other story. But they had no trouble filling up their schedules. In fact, we're turning people away,
Hmm.
and that's just the way it is. If you can do the job, if you understand what's going on, people are always going to need energy to make things.
Yeah. So I know for us, we have an open position all the time of industry expert, right? Whether it's BAS or industrial combustion, it's freestanding, and it's a well-paying job of somebody with industry experience to come in and do that. I think we've successfully hired one person into that role that came, and it's because it shows people are retiring out, and there's not people coming back in, and so um, we've got a person here, a young man. I think I'm old enough now to call somebody else a young man. I'll go with
Sure.
that anyway. But we have a young man here who's really shown a gift for learning new concepts and new things, and he has just fast tracked himself. We just in our management meeting this morning put a pin in him that we're going to look at getting him promoted here again soon into the technical piece, and so maybe he's on that track that you're talking about with learning it and then becoming valuable to the industry. So it's not something that you're going to come right in and just master and be well sought after, whatever. But if you want to come in and learn it, Chuck says the opportunity's there, and I hope that some people start to grasp it. I think we will. I think that we're starting to turn the corner. I know every single time that I'm somewhere talking with a industry person at an industry meeting, and someone says, "What's your challenges?" It's always with labor, smart people, all that. We're outgrowing what we can handle from a capacity and a knowledge perspective, and that's why you're seeing so much of the AI and the various different things. Is you have to have some way to replicate that stuff, and we're doing that. But it would be nice to have some humans, to come along to be able to supplement that, right? And so you've got a few direct reports that work with you, and some folks managing a lot of big things. But what's been your approach to leadership? How do you How do you lead these people to continue to grasp new things? I know Luke, that works for you, is the amount of stuff he's learned under you is great. And how do you keep them invested? How do you keep them wanting to learn new things and continue to grow?
Well, this is one question that's eluded me for quite some time, but I have to say, the last few years, the kind of the mental shift on my part is to figure out what they need and give them that. And it's if this person needs, okay, you need a little guidance on how to get yourself at least started on something. It doesn't mean go do it for them, but figure out what it is that'll help them do what they're trying to do, right? Whether it's learn something new or accomplish a task or things like that. If you can enable them to be successful in what they're attempting, then I think that's a good leader.
I love that. So let me say this back to you. I think I've heard other people say, and I've said it. Meet somebody where they are. But I think you have a little bit of a twist on that. In that, Chuck, you have a direction for these people, a trajectory of for things that they need to learn. And instead of saying this is what you need to learn next, and then after that you're going to learn this, and after that you're going to learn that, sounds to me like maybe you're kind of less rigid, more. What do you need? Where are you struggling? What are you interested in? And then once you hear that, you're giving them what they need, I think is what you said.
Hmm.
But you're probably doing that within helping guide them along this path. But you're more asking those questions. Am I getting that right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
getting at?
yeah, exactly.
That's astute leadership.
Thanks. And it's honestly, it's one that's eluded me for a while, but I find that it's successful if you can help people be better themselves.
We often say pour gas on fire, right? So if I gave you
Yeah.
just a gas can, and I said you have to make more fire with just a gas can, the only way I know you can do that is to go pour it on some more gas, right?
Mhm.
And even if you have a little spark, it might not be good. And so you're basically going, hey, tell me what you're interested in, tell me what you want to do, and you'll pour a little bit of gas on it in a controlled, correct way, and they'll do what they need. Have any good mantras, sayings, anything that we say in the company, or anything that you say specifically that kind of you repeat in your head over and over?
There's so many. I was like, I'm like freezing on my brain. Like, what do I want to say? Honestly, I am so bought into the feedback by a good purpose thing. Anytime, whether I'm sitting in an interview with somebody, I always try to make sure that concept is covered. I think it was a great idea, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I think it needs to be repeated as much as possible.
Yeah, that's what he's alluding to. Is we have three things that we say are non-negotiable. There's a lot of other things that will help you through. If you're a single mother that has time constraints and various different things pulling in the same direction, like we're going to try and help you. If you're a slow learner, if you can't sit still, we're going to work with you, try to make it where it makes sense. But the three things that aren't negotiable is feedback, buying, good purpose. So feedback, we want to know what's working, what isn't working, what your issues are, what your ideas are, and we have a whole system that's baked into everything that we do that is a way for people to give feedback. Now, we're not a democracy, so we don't run around and do a straw poll all the time to figure out what our decision is going to be. But we make our decisions based on feedback that we get from everybody. And we just want people to buy into those decisions wholly, right? And understand that we're going to make some good ones. We're going to make some not so good ones. And hopefully we don't make any bad ones, but just buy into it and speak with a good purpose. And that's to your customers, to your coworkers, to your suppliers, to everybody. And if we do those three things, provide feedback, we're going to get better. We buy into it. That's builds culture. And we speak with good purpose on everything that we do. What else you could do? And you can see that it's working. I mean, we said this morning, like we don't have any knuckleheads right now. Knock on wood. God bless it. Knock on wood. But it's like, we just have great people all the way around.
Absolutely.
It's just so great, and it's fun. The other one I like is easy to do business with, and that's what we aim to be. And I think we use that. I hear you use that all the time.
Hmm.
Easy to do business with. It's good.
Yeah.
What were
And
you gonna say?
lately is automate the world.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be giving away any secret sauce now,
Yeah.
Chuck Chittick.
That's
But yeah, man,
we'll leave it at that.
we have saved some hours. We are really doing our part to make sure that those folks that aren't coming into our business right now, we're still going to be good for 10 and 20 years down the road. And thanks in large part to Chuck and Sarah and a lot of other people in our company on the leadership team. They're doing some great things. Hey, I think we've nailed it. We've got a good understanding of how you brought up what you think about the industry and how you are as a leader. Is there anything that I didn't cover or anything that you really want to talk about? It's just
I feel like you kind of caught almost all of it.
Sounds good. Yeah. Hey, well, let's end it there then. And
Okay.
let me just say once again, officially, congratulations, Vice President of Distribution, our facing person for our ICG team, and an industry expert. Consider you a friend. I'm going to hit you with one last one though. It's going to involve Scotch. It's going to be a question about Scotch. And so, fellow whiskey drinker, I'm more on the bourbon, and you're a little bit more on the Scotch. So, if I were to gift someone $100 to go out and buy a very good, decent, well tasting bottle of Scotch, what are you going to recommend?
All right. For me personally, I'm going to buy a Lagavulin 16.
Say that again. What was that?
Lagavulin 16. Yes. So, but if the person that is asking me about it is not so much into the peaty, smoky taste, then I'm going to recommend the Balvenie 14 Caribbean cask.
Okay. Heard it here first, folks. I don't know what the hell he said, but it was some good scotch, and I'm sure that the transcript will tell you what it was, but that's good. And Chuck knows his scotch. So hey man, Chuck, thank you so much. Thanks for being on the bucket. Really appreciate you and all the things that you do. Consider you a friend, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. You folks at home, let us know how we did in the comments. See you later.